Hey, you guys, this is Courtney Camaro. I'm outside of Muhammad Ali's real original home. We're in Chicago, and I wanted to shout out Al's Botanics and Herbs. Man, when I tell you, I am one of those people that has insomnia. I can't sleep. I can't focus on some days because I'm so sleep deprived, and this has helped. This is one of the mixtures he has that helps with sleep.
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? Um, I'm just got some things I got want to talk about. Um, just kind of, I don't know, just didn't really see anybody else that caught my attention. So I decided to come on here on StreamYard, get my $40 worth. Um, actually pay for this. I don't even know why I pay for it, but I pay for it. I don't even need to pay for it. Like you really don't need to pay. You don't need to pay for StreamYard if you the only reason you probably need to pay for StreamYard is if you got panels. If you have like more than 6 people on a panel, and you're doing regular live streams, yeah, you have a case for paying for StreamYard. But if you don't do that, you don't even need to use StreamYard. You could use actually OBS. You could use OBS and stream through OBS, and you can, talk or whatever. Um, if you want someone to occasionally come on, if you want to have a guest or whatever, someone, a panel of people, you could just stream through OBS with StreamYard. And then I just, I found another streaming platform. I forgot the name of it, but I saved it on my work computer. But I it's another version of a streaming service that works with Macs and PC, and it's like the same price as StreamYard. It's actually cheaper than StreamYard. So there's some competitors out there as well that's cheaper. But the thing is that I guess what I wanted to talk about was and this is Kaizen. This is Kaizen, basically continuous improvement. One of the things I'm working on is I'm working on Python. I'm coding with Python, and I'm trying to figure out something that works that I can use to basically make some money. That's the goal of what I'm using Python on, as far as why I am using Python. So right now, I'm trying something with basically computer models for like predictive NBA, or basically sports predictive models. And I was doing really well, I think about a month ago. About a month, I had a pretty good model going. It was working pretty good. It was pretty streamlined. And then next thing I know, it's just like I made some improvements and some updates on it. And then it's like back to square one, where I'm like, trying to figure out what to do. And then it's other factors, like right now the NBA is about 2 months, what, about they about 3 months into the season. They 3 months into the season. So it's been, injuries. Like, the NBA is a contact sport. It's not like football, but it's a contact sport, and players get injured, so they have to sit them down, and you have, load management where they have to play players with so many, injuries, like they have to sit them on the bench and give them a break, so that's a factor as well. And then you got older retired players, or actually players that probably are on the verge of retiring, and they're not, getting that many minutes, or they're not really scoring that much, so that's a factor. And then you got to factor in the weather, people getting flus, this flu season, people getting colds, um, the cold weather, basically it's a factor, for players. They travel into cold weather, even if they in warmer climates. So it's a lot of factors and variables, to sports, like the NFL. Weather is really a factor right now, because it's we in the dead of winter. Actually, like winter, the coldest months in winter is February, January, and even March. It gets really, really cold for whatever reason. That's like, kind of the tail end of winter, and it gets really, really cold. I mean, bone chilling cold. Like, it really hasn't been really cold yet. Like, I know when it get like real cold, like it hasn't even got that where it's like minus 25 below zero. Like, it hasn't even got that. Like, and that usually comes around February. Around February, it gets real cold to where it's like freezing temperatures, serious, deep freezing temperatures. So one of the things that I'm noticing is that people are getting really, really, really desperate out here. And it getting really desperate. People are robbing pawn shops and all kinds of stuff, man. Like, they're really, really desperate in Chicago. Like people are really, really desperate, because everything that I talk about, everything that I talk about as far as, black people having a problem with economics, having issues with opening up businesses, hiring people, maintaining employees, having something to offer to people to buy. It's an issue. It's an issue for a lot of black people. And in cases of desperation, you have areas in Chicago, and this is everywhere in the country, where you just have, even and I post stuff regularly. Some of the stuff that I post is not on YouTube, because I don't know, I don't really want to post it. Maybe I, just don't really want to post it on YouTube. So I post regularly on my Facebook page, which is basically Broke Genius's Facebook page. So it's like basically a post I post on there where it's a black realtor in Chicago. And she mentioned an issue of what's facing what people on the south side of Chicago are dealing with. And one of the things that she has an issue with is, and it's basically her clients. Her clients are telling her, okay, yeah, I got this nice house and I like the neighborhood, but it's nothing here to buy. I have to go out of my area to buy what I need. Because like you have places in the south side of Chicago, a lot of places where you don't have places to basically meet your needs. You have to go like somewhere else to buy the things that you need. Like, for example, and basically uh what's the guy's name? The economist. I post him on my channel. Um, I forgot his name. He used to deal with Boyce Watkins a lot. Uh, yeah, oh boy, I gotta look him up real quick. It's on the tip of my tongue. Um, it's on the tip of my tongue, but uh, I want to say, let me see here. Let me see here. I keep thinking Cornell West for whatever reason, but that's Cornell West is not that. Um, he's he's not an economist. Um, he's the author too. He wrote a lot of books. He wrote Black Labor, White Wealth. Uh, 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 that's him. Let's see here. Mm. Uh, 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 uh. You know what? I hate when people don't put people's names. Dr. Claude Anderson. Yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson talked about that. That you have black communities that are really just bedroom communities. They're just places you lay your head. They don't have banks, they don't have clinics, hospitals, they don't have essential things that you need. Like for any community, you need a plethora of businesses to basically fill your needs. I mean, obviously you need a gas station so you can get gas for your cars, for your vehicles. You need basically you might not need a laundromat, but you might need at least one laundromat because people might not have a washer and dryer. You need a cleaners, dry cleaners. You need a grocery store, right? You also need a hardware store. You need a hardware store so you can because you got to fix up houses. Houses need hardware stores so you can get lumber. You can get drywall. You can get some screws. You need a nail gun or something like that. Um, you also need restaurants. Now, black people, I will say, black people can open up restaurants, which is restaurants do have a higher um entry fee to open. Like to open a restaurant, it's a higher cost of entry than let's just say like a small convenience store. A small convenience store, you could start a convenience store for probably $5,000 to $10,000. If you really slim, your budget is really slim, you could probably pull it off with about 5 grand. You're gonna be stretched thin because a lot of your fees are gonna be a lot of that 5,000 gonna get ate up with just business licenses and insurance and lease fees and stuff. Like you got to put a deposit and pay for the security deposit for the place. You got to pay rent, first month's rent, probably, most likely. You can work it out with the landlord to get, like, some landlords will give you like a month so you can get your business together because you got to build out your store and all that. They might give you a month where you don't have to pay no rent, or might even be 2 months. if you could work that out, you could negotiate that. But you got a lot of that 5,000 get ate up before you even buy, a lot of chips and a lot of stuff that you need. But you could start a convenience store. It doesn't cost that much. But restaurants probably cost 10 times that amount to start a restaurant. So restaurants are harder to open, and even harder to stay open, because if your food is not quality and if your customer service is bad, um people just won't come to your restaurant. They won't keep coming back. They might put things aside if you got good food and you got bad customer service. They'll complain about that, but they'll come back for the food. But if your food is mediocre and your customer service is bad, people don't have no reason to keep coming back to your restaurant. So you'll eventually close up. But it's a higher entry fee to open up a restaurant. But a community does need fine dining restaurants as well as uh fast casual, where you go get your food and go, or you get it delivered, whatever. You need the community needs that, because everybody is not going to cook every single day, right? So that's needed. You need some type of recreational center or fitness center, so you can play basketball, go, work out. You could go to the gym, it needs a gym. Just essential things that every neighborhood you see, every nice neighborhood that you see, what they have, you need that in any location. And when you don't have that, right, you need clothing stores and things of that nature. Like when you don't have those essential things, people have to go outside of their area. So in this case, a lot of cases in the south side of Chicago, there's not enough businesses to basically provide what people need in a community. Even upper echelon communities that black people live, even like it's certain neighborhood. A lot of people think, I don't know what people's perception of black people from Chicago. I think the perception is very negative, like it's like Memphis or something, or even worse. Or it's just this big ghetto. But no, Chicago is not a big ghetto. That's not. I mean, that might what people's appearance or thought is as far as the news and stuff that they see, but Chicago is not just one big ghetto. Now, somebody told me Baltimore was like that, but I've never been to Baltimore, so I don't know. I have not verified that, but Chicago is not just one big ghetto. It's a they are quote unquote ghettos, but they're mixed in with like mixed income communities. There even, believe it or not, are middle upper middle class black neighborhoods. Believe it or not. Even it's some black people that live in upper class communities as well. Like in Chicago, there's not the upper class communities in Chicago. There's a few of them. There's a few of them, like Hyde Park is considered an upper class community. The South Loop. I mean, definitely downtown, parts of the North Side. But most of the upper class communities are in the suburbs, mostly in the suburbs of Chicago, mainly the north suburbs, in a few in the western suburbs. Um, there's not that many in the south suburbs. I'll admit that. There's not that many like bona fide upper class communities in the south suburbs. Nah, not not. It might be one or two, because I'll say Frankfurt. Frankfurt is where, like, yeah, Frankfurt is one of those suburbs that is just pretty much upper class. It is upper class. Like that's where the rapper Twister, he lives there. So, but the thing is that even in these black upper echelon neighborhoods, they don't have everything they need to basically shop and get all of their needs met. So they got to go outside of the neighborhood. So what this realtor was saying and what she was explaining is there needs to be, she didn't say it like she should have said it, but what she was saying is there is a lot of residential development in the South Side. They are a lot of people flipping houses in the South Side of Chicago, and they also are some developments, some like new developments in Chicago, in the South Side of Chicago. But there's not that many commercial developments. It's not that many commercial developments because self off the stream. I hit a button, but basically there's not much commercial development, and the reason why there's not much commercial development is because there's not uh a push for businesses like for example, I mean, to be honest, most of the businesses in a black community, and this is part of a system. This is a system. Now, some people call this system a system of white supremacy. I mean, I don't necessarily believe that that is necessarily the case, but there is a system, and that system is, we gonna have the Arabians and we gonna have the Indians basically in the black neighborhoods supplying the businesses, and that's how they gonna make some money. Like everything is systematic. So nothing is just happenstance or anything like that. It's all by design. Okay, it's all by design. Okay, so the thing is that a lot of times when black people do get money, they don't stay in black neighborhoods. They move to white suburbs, tend to move to white communities. And the white communities that they move to has all of the businesses and they have dense commercial areas where they have tons of grocery stores, gas stations, every business you can think of, right? They have it, right? And that's where a lot of blacks move once they get money. Once blacks get north of anywhere close to $100,000, they move out of black communities. And once they move, they don't have to open up no business because they one if they open a business, blacks understand white people and others will not support them. They do understand that. Black people know that they ain't gonna get supported by white people like that and others. So they don't open businesses in those communities. So they just, work and make their money and try to pay their mortgage the best way they can. That's what they do. And uh in that process, what you have is the only ones left in these black communities. You got some black communities where, like I say, the upper echelons, like the upper middle class, the upper class communities is black people just basically living around upper class white people. Okay, there's not any upper class black communities. It's just upper middle class. So even in the upper middle class neighborhoods, you'll have some black people that have businesses, but it's not enough to basically supply everything that people need. Most of the businesses, even in upper middle class neighborhoods, are basically occupied by foreigners, Indians and Arabians and Koreans and Chinese, to be exact. And maybe even a few white people that might have like a family business that they still, hold on to or something like that. And they, you know, have some type of business, mom and pop shop or something. And black people go there to get what they need. So that's what you have in these black communities, to where it's no commercial development. It's not enough commercial um development, or even uh commercial businesses. Basically, it's not enough commerce to basically also provide businesses that people need, and provide people the jobs that they need to make a living. So that's why you have these areas where that's why you have a lot of black people all across the United States, that they're in this system and they don't know how to counter this system. They don't have they don't know how to counter this system. And the only way to counter this system is definitely capitalism. I'm not gonna say it's a system of white supremacy. It's capitalism for sure. It's capitalism. Black people don't understand capitalism, I would say, and the only way to deal with capitalism is to have businesses, to have commercial businesses. That's the only way you could deal with capitalism. You can't deal with capitalism. This is how black people deal with capitalism. You can't deal with and that's why a lot of black people are Marxists and communists leaning, because they do terrible in capitalism. And the reason they do terrible in capitalism is because they don't understand capitalism. You have to have you have to have businesses to deal with capitalism, because if you don't have businesses, you don't have jobs. Okay. And when you don't have jobs, that leads to all of the problems that come from that. And I've been talking about this for on deaf's ears for years on this channel, and I'll continue to talk about it. But the thing is that that's the only way you could deal with this system. You can't. What black people try to do is be workers, and it's nothing wrong with that. I work. I've also had businesses before. I've had a business before. The problem with working and just working, only just being an employee. Let me get my slides here. The problem with this model of being an employee is that you rely on other businesses in order for you to be an employee. You rely on business owners and self-employed individuals for you to be employed. So the problem with black people is, because they don't move in the B sector, in the self-employed sector that much. Well, it's a lot of black people that's self-employed, but ideally the business owner section, and I'm not talking about people that just start an LLC and they don't make any money. Their businesses are pretty much flatline. Like, I'll even say for myself, my businesses are pretty much flatline. They're pretty much dead. I don't get a lot of sales. But I do have I got a lot of haters. A lot of people don't like me because, people that tell the truth are not liked. People that tend to tell the truth are not liked. And I don't do any favoritism, and I don't have any gang or anything that. So anything, anyway, the whole thing is what black people try to do with just the employee. They try to basically overload the employee quadrant. Okay. So they try to work themselves, they try to solve all their problems by just working. Okay. And it goes back to their ancestors being slaves. They just work and work, and they make the money from their labor, and then they try to, if they make enough, they try to, if they live in a lower class black community, they try to move away, move to maybe a mixed neighborhood or a white neighborhood that has all of the businesses that they need to basically get what they need. So that solves the problem immediately for them. And obviously the problem with that is, obviously you you put yourself in a situation where you just being individual. A lot of black people are very individualistic. A lot of black people are very highly individualistic. And it's a it's a pro and a con to that. Okay, the pro for black people being very individualistic, black people actually make up, most of black people are actually middle class. Even me, I'm middle class. As far as the definition of middle class, okay, I fit the technical definition of middle class. But see, here's the con to that, okay? Because like over 50% of black people are middle class. All right. The con is individually, you might be all right, but the people around you, you know, it's like they on fire. They need some water to be, to put to be to give them some type of relief from this fire. They're starving. They're going through it because individually you got a job, you work, you make money, you're doing okay, but everybody else is fucking on fire. They're starving, they're dehydrated, they're thirsty. I mean, they're robbing and stealing and doing whatever they can to survive because they don't have a job. You have neighborhoods in Chicago. I don't know about anywhere else, but in Chicago, you have entire neighborhoods where you have 50 highest 50% unemployment rates, or even higher than that, because black people don't know how to deal with capitalism. Okay, their idea of dealing with capitalism, like I said, and everybody knows this. They get money. If they get enough money, they move to white neighborhoods. That solves the problem in an individual aspect. Is they move into a area or a neighborhood where everything, all their needs are particularly met on an individual level. And then if too many black people, and I've seen I talk about this shit so many times. Like I'm from Dalton, I'm from where your city girl mayor, remember last year, your city girl mayor, that's where I'm from. I'm from Dalton, Illinois. And this actually happened, what I'm about to say actually happened in Dalton, Illinois back in the 1980s and 90s. If too many black people move to a particular area where white people live and they have everything, right? White people initiate white flight. They leave. They leave that area and they go somewhere else. And then the same problem re-evolves. And actually, if you ask any real estate investor or any realtor, black realtor, they will tell you, they'll admit to you, even a white person will admit to you, yes, a lot of the real estate is cycles of white flight. Literally, real estate is the much part of real estate is the different patterns of white flight. Believe it or not. So yeah, if too many black people move, do that same play, move into a particular neighborhood, then the white people leave. They initiate white flight and then they leave that neighborhood. So once they leave that neighborhood, the same problem revolves itself. The black people don't have and you can see Dalton. Dalton is just like this. Dalton is like this. Harvey, Illinois, Riverdale, same thing. The white flight, these are all areas, all these cities that I just mentioned that are part of the Chicagoland area, that are actually suburbs, the suburbs of Chicago, the south suburbs of Chicago, they were all white at one time, like in the 80s, definitely 70s. And the white people moved out and the black people were left. They like, damn, everything was all nice when the white people lived here. We had everything, right? Then the white people initiate white flight, they leave. Then the black people that most of them move from Chicago to these suburbs to live with white folks and enjoy everything white folks have to offer, which is businesses, commercial districts and businesses and chambers of commerce and everything that revolves around business. They enjoy that. Then more black people move in and white flight occurs. And then they're left basically holding them, themselves up in trying to survive again. Whatever the reasons and problems, they left Chicago and moved to the suburbs and live around all these white folks that got everything laid out. The white people left, and then now the city starts to go downhill. The same problems that they had in Chicago, which is no jobs, unemployment, crime, violence, no businesses. It's just like, it's like a monster. It's like the Stranger Things, like Stranger Things is about some alien intergalactic monster that basically takes over a town, right? And it's like, they dealt with it. They got like the second coming of, damn near God as like a superwoman, basically, that helps them defeat the monster, right? And then the monster goes back into his little cave, and then it's like he's coming back out again. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when black people lived in these white communities. They basically the nightmare comes back and haunts them, because black people are the only people in America that really moves individualistically. Like, black people move on an individual level, like every man for themselves. Like, we used to play basketball, in a particular defensive strategy. A very basic strategy is basically, it's called basically every man for himself. It's no particular, like, it's not like the 2-3. A 2-3 is like, you have three people in a box, which is basically, the box is like close to where the rim is. So you have three players in the box in the bottom, and then two players up top that will guard basically the perimeter, the 3-point perimeter. That's called a 2-3. Well, man defense is basically every man just guards their man, right? That's pretty typical defensive strategy. Like if you go in a gym, if you go to LA Fitness or something like that, you're gonna play every man for themselves. So that's what black people do. That's what black people are trained to do, to be individualistic. So individuals, it's hard being an individual starting a business. And especially it's hard competing with other people or other groups that are on a group model. Like everybody else is on a group model. Hispanics are on a group model. White people are on a group model. Asians are in a group model. Arabians are in a group model. You name it. They're on a group model. Black people are on an individualistic model and wondering why they're having problems. It's easy. And this is what happens a lot of times in fights. A lot of times what somebody does is it's not an individual fight. It's not a fair fight. It's one person fighting another person, but then other people jump in. Well, that's not fair. Well, that's what happens with black people. We're fighting we're fighting a group, trying to fight groups on an individual level. And that's crazy. That's a movie. That's called Rambo. It's make-believe. It didn't happen. No man goes into the jungle and fights the Viet Cong by himself and win. Even Americans, even the United States government could not defeat the Viet Cong. That's why you have North Korea and South Korea. And imagine one man, Rambo, trying to defeat the entire Viet Cong. That's what black people try to do on an individual level and wonder why they have so many problems. Now, of course, black people used to work as a group, but many times we've been targeted when we've been in a group. So a lot of black people, I guess, through strategy or survival, we started to be more individualistic, and then black people have different groups. Like most black people are Christian. They have some type of Christian, denomination. Some few people have different religions, Muslim or Judaism or some type of, different organizational religion or something like the Hebrew Israelites or the Nation Islam. So it's splintered, very, very separate, right? So it's why black people have the problems they have, that encompasses all aspects of life. It encompasses relationship issues. It encompasses economic issues, which leads to having to be in the underworld, system D, having to do, whatever you can to make money. And because black people can't rely on getting a job, and it's not like, you would even say, see, this is what the mob did. This is what the Italian mafia did. The Irish mob did the same thing. They took dirty money, which is illegal money that was made illegally, and they washed the money in legitimate businesses. And it's like the black gangs, they try to do stuff with real estate, but they end up getting caught. They don't open up no businesses. They don't you can't rely on even the rich gangbangers or drug dealers to open up businesses. So it's just nobody opens up businesses. It's just foreign people come in from primarily India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, different parts of Arabia, all parts of Arabia, Libya, Algeria, Palestinians, Yemenis, they open up businesses in black ghettos, and those who that's who that's when black people patronize these businesses. And even in upper middle class, it's no different. Even in upper middle class neighborhoods, black people still have foreigners that they patronize for their needs, for their commercial needs. And it's kind of sad. I'm not going, I'm enthusiastic because I know the solution, but it's kind of sad because, basically what I'm saying is not true. Even on this small channel, not too many viewers, whatever, I'm not lying. I'm dead. I'm just right on point with, just like Dr. Claude Anderson. I know the same thing. You can't deal with capitalism being an employee only. Can't do it. It's like that coach. Can't coach him. Can't do it. Like, I mean, you just can't. It's like putting a round ball in a cube. You can't do it. You have to have commercial business profits to deal with capitalism, because basically only thing is left, if you're just an employee, you're basically a abid. That's what the Arabs say. It's called a slave. Abid. You're an abid. If you only just are employee minded, and that's all you do is be an employee, you're an employee to the world blow up, you're trained, you're like a trained worker bee, that's all you could do, that's your fate, slavery. Because you can't deal with capitalism just being a slave. You need slaves, and you also need to have basically masters. And black people choose to just be slaves, and they wonder why they have the conditions that they have. It's all cause and effect. You don't have any businesses, you don't have any jobs. So then the people are they're unemployed, and they have to rely on system D to survive, selling drugs, selling whatever you can to make a living. Okay, doing whatever you can to make a living. And see, I know this. I don't have problems with black folks, because when I walk outside, I know black people's problem. I understand why they had the problems that they have. I empathize, but at the same time, I try to, that's why what I talk about, from time to time, because you can't just employ, like, being an employee. Black people trying to be just employees is basically alpha in your way through life. Like, I hear people say, alpha way, that's a, kind of a manosphere talking point, primarily a black manosphere talking point, trying to alpha your way through it. That's what black people do, trying to just be an employee, trying to alpha your way through it. It has to be someone that is brave enough to fucking put their money up, go, on Small Business Administration, the website, and apply for a fucking loan and start a business. Because here's another thing. You can fucking die tomorrow, and your job, you can't give your job to your kids. That job is not, you don't own that job. You're not a business owner. You die, and I've seen it. I work downtown Chicago. A lady died over the weekend. They had a replacement a week later. And she was just a thought, as far as, what she did, how she was, and everything like that. And it was business did not stop. It just, it went just like clockwork. And her children did not get her job. They got a little money. We passed around the hat, everybody in the department. You know what I'm saying? We passed, I think I gave her family about $70. You know what I'm saying? And everybody passed around the hat and they gave that to the family. I think she had one son. She smoked cigarettes every day. And I mean, she probably drank and whoever knows what else. Probably had bad, didn't eat well as well. So there you go. I think she was only like 60 years old. And for women tend to live longer than men, so they should live to like 80 or 90 years old. But corporate life for women is very stressful. Women working takes years off of their life. And that's one of the black pills as far as what women don't really understand, that I know, the little wisdom that I do know from me working for over 20 years of my life, almost 30 years of my life. Really, to be honest, I've been working since I was 7. So I've been working damn near, almost 40 years. And I know from my older years of experience and analyzing people, and especially women, and one of the things that I'm learning is that women are dying earlier than normal. And what it is the link is basically basically being a worker. And that could mean working in a factory, working in a corporate environment. It doesn't matter. Just working for some reason or not, women are just not really equipped to work like that. And even men take years off our life. We actually sacrifice our life, working and everything like that. And we die early, but women don't have, they have the same, result. They tend to die a lot sooner, I guess if you want to look it up, just look up the difference between housewives and working women. What's the mortality rate? Because they have that information. And in AI, they can, you can get that information probably within less than 10 seconds, less than 15 seconds. And the thing is that, that's a whole nother topic for another day. I'm talking about black people and their problems. Their problems is that, okay, you're not going to live forever. If you die, what do you leave your children with? Your job? Okay. You can't give them your job. Their job, you're only qualified and know how to work that job. And you got that job just how you got it. You had to go through an interview process and all of that. That job is not transferable to your children. So when you die, basically, hopefully you have some life insurance. Hopefully you are a homeowner. I can tell you another thing. Black people are damn near 60% renters. When you rent, it's a method to my madness, right? When you rent, you can't transfer your rent to your kids. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I've said this many times. I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna keep it real personal with you. I've seen this happen. My sister was renting. She died. She had a heart attack during the pandemic, COVID, coronavirus. Heart attack, died. Renting. My nieces paid 1 month. And then they were trying to like talk to the landlord and work out something where they was gonna pay month to month. That lady said, "You have a month to get the hell on up out that house." and they had to go get somewhere else to live. They had to move. And I told my sister for years, buy you a house. Properties are cheap. Get you a house. She even admitted to me that, yeah, you're right. I should probably get a house, but I don't want to get it. She didn't want to, do it or whatever. But anyway, she died. My nieces, they didn't inherit no rent. The rent was due next month after her body was in the ground. Rent was due the following month. You don't have any rights, have very limited rights when it comes to being a renter. And I think the reason why Black people rent so much is because they don't probably want the responsibilities of a house, of being, basically a homeowner. And then another thing is, I mean, they probably a lot of Black people are programmed from their parents. If your parents rent a lot, you gonna rent a lot. That's what you gonna be doing, renting. Like you see your parents renting, and then they talk about renting, and then you living with them and they're renters, then you gonna grow up and follow what they do. You don't have any rights when you're a renter to give it, like if you die, ain't nothing. Your kids live with you. Your kids have to have their rent the next month, or they're gonna be evicted eventually. That's how that works. And the thing is that when it comes down to it, capitalism is also about ownership of assets. It's about ownership. Black people didn't get that education. They didn't get that understanding. It's about assets and ownership. When you rent, you don't own. Have limited rights when you rent. When you own, you have more rights. The same scenario, my sister died and she owned that house. My nieces, all they had to do, they didn't have to talk to no landlord or anything. All they had to do was just basically put that check in the mail or pay the mortgage. That's it. Now, I know the people that do understand a lot. I understand mortgages can do a due in full clause. They can do that. So if, like, let's say your parents had a house and they didn't have you on the title. You're supposed to have your children on the title. If they're, especially if you old and you sick or something like that, you might, chances are you might, expire, sometime or whatever. You're supposed to have your children on a fucking title. Okay. And it's not that hard to do. You can get a lawyer to do that, probably less than $1,000. Have your fucking children on the title. That's how that works. If my sister did that, all my nieces had to do was just pay that fucking mortgage, and that would have been it. End of story. If they didn't want to be there anymore, they could fucking sell the house and make some money, hopefully from the sale. It's a lot easier to do that. But again, Black people are like 60% renters. Another reason why Black people rent so much, they don't have no money to get no house. They don't have the money. You need money to buy a house, so a lot of Black folks don't have enough money to buy no house. But a lot of Black people do. They just think that in their mind that they don't have enough money. But really, when you break down how much they paying in rent, if you break down how much you pay in rent versus paying a mortgage, it might not be that much difference, depending on what market you are. I'm in the Midwest. So the Midwest, it really, to be honest, every real estate market is pretty similar. The rent is very close to what a mortgage would be. So, for example, even if like you in the Northeast or something, or where houses are expensive, well, if you're gonna be paying probably $2,000 a month for rent. Well, I mean, depending on the property, let's say 400,000 house for that's 400,000. Your mortgage might be slightly more, right? It might be like 2,500 or something, or maybe even be 2,700, which is a lot more than 2,000. But you like again, you have more rights for your ownership. Like when you paying rent, it's a path to nowhere. You just basically a peasant. You're a serf when you paying rent because you don't have any ownership. Your money, you don't have any equity when you paying rent. Because nobody told people that renting is not a long-term solution. So when you paying rent, it's like throwing money out the window every day. Every month, you throwing money out the window. You don't have any rights to sell that property. You ain't getting no equity. See, like at least if you have a house and you paying a mortgage, over time, you will build up some type of equity. And the more you pay, the more you build up equity. So when it comes time, if you just wanted to sell the house, once you go to the closing table, they have to cut you a check. If you if your property values are higher than what you owe, they have to cut you a check. And then you take that, people usually take that check and they take it to the next house and buy the next house with it. That's how that works. But you don't take anything when you rent. You don't have any equity. You don't have anything that's coming to you when you paying rent. And this is another reason why Black people struggle with capitalism. So I'm breaking down to you why Black people have the financial problems that they have. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, and trying to be an employee and just being a worker doesn't help you and your people deal with capitalism, and especially not competing. Okay, businesses is about competition, and the thing is that when you don't have any businesses, you're not competing with anyone, right? The thing is that not even just competition, you don't have anything to offer your people for what they need, so they have to go outside of their community to buy what they need, and you don't have the jobs that people desperately need to survive. That's also out the window because there's no businesses. A lot of foreign owned entities, they hire their own people. Okay, Patels, they hiring other Patels, things and all of that. Muhammad, he's hiring Hassan, Aziz, Abdul. That's my name, by the way. He hiring his people to work his businesses. The Koreans, Ling and Lee, they hiring their own people. So that's how that works. In case you didn't get the memo, in case you didn't, because a lot of people don't get business education. They don't get business education. I had to go to college to get business education because that's what I knew that's what I was going to get into. That's what I knew I wanted to get into, and until I switched my major. Then I switched it again. But the thing is that nonetheless, I got the business education. I got business education from my grandfather because my grandfather, he understood more than what I knew. Coming from Mississippi, he went to college for business administration, and he understood, what this capitalism is all about. You need a business. He worked for a bank. Him and his friend, ex-Senator Roland Burris, and saved up enough money to open up a liquor store, to get a liquor license and open up a liquor store with an army buddy of his. And the rest is history. You know, became a millionaire and eventually sold the business to Arabians because, you know, all things come to an end. If you know, he had problems with taxes, and then he also had problems gambling. He was a terrible gambler. Okay, he didn't win, you know, so he didn't win enough. He didn't win more than he lost, basically. So he fell behind on taxes and business. You know, he had to sell it. And he sold it to some Arabians until the business just, you know, basically ran its course, and then they basically bulldozed the area and then built a currency exchange there. Like, so if you drive past 75th and Cottage Grove, you'll see a currency exchange, which in the Chicagoland area, I don't know if it's world, you know, in the country, but a lot of the currency exchanges in black communities, they're owned by the Jews. A lot of them are owned by Jewish individuals. The currency exchange. The currency exchanges were like banks for poor blacks that didn't feel comfortable putting their money in a bank or didn't use the banking system. The currency exchange was something that's used. Like me personally, um, normally I don't use the currency exchange. I don't really go to a currency exchange. Because of my situation and the things that I'm dealing with now, I have to go to a currency exchange a lot more than I want to. But normally I don't hardly ever have to go to a currency exchange. I have plenty of banks, savings accounts, and things of that nature. I don't have to use a currency exchange. But a lot of black people, that's what they depended on um to cash checks and to pay bills and stuff like that. But yeah, black people, you know, this is why, you know, you could, I mean, I want you to share this. I want you to send this to everyone that you know. So they can be pissed off. So they can know. I mean, I know this pisses people off. You know, I know black people don't want to hear this doomsday bullshit. I know they don't. But it ain't nothing but the truth. You know, and what they say, the truth shall set you free. Well, you know, somebody got to do it, man. Somebody got to open up. You got to put your head down, and you got to be the one to break the cycle. You know, all it takes is one. You know, you gotta be the one to break that fucking cycle, and take the gears of capitalism and man, you know, work within it. You know, work that shit up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just once you understand how to deal with capitalism, you become unstoppable. Can't because I mean, a lot of the stuff that they say it is the system, and they know black people, you know, do terrible in that system, and that's why they make fun of us, because we do terribly with capitalism. We try to be workers nonstop. It's just, oh, my job, my job, my job, my work, my work, my work, my job, my job. That's people. That's the average black person's conversation. My job, 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 my work, work, my boss, my boss. Like that's the vernacular that black people speak of, because it's very few people, my business, my business, my business. Like, I need black people to start saying my business, my business, my business, and then talk about business. Like, me and my homie, I never forget, man, some of the best times we had talking on the phone about our business, about business ideas. And, you know, even I ain't gonna lie, we used to laugh my homie Kareem, we used to laugh about how black people in, you know, we had businesses in the ghetto. He had like an oil shop. I had a computer shop. we used to laugh about how it's a strange thing. Like on the south side of Chicago, like on 79th Street, there's a candy. It's more than one. There's basically wholesale distributors that literally, like the same, foreigners that have these corner shops, they go to the same place to get candy and chips and cookies and all of their supplies, their stock, at this one, distributor, right? It's called 71st and State Street in Chicago on the south side. And it's like the black people live right in that neighborhood. The Arabians, the Indians, the Koreans, the Chinese, they don't live in the south side of Chicago. They travel to their stores, and they open up their stores. They live primarily in white communities, primarily white suburbs, and they drive to their stores. They don't live in the same community that they have the stores. So it's black people live in those areas, and it's not like the wholesale distributor doesn't take walk-ins like people off the street. You don't have to have a commercial business license to shop there. You can go up in there and get whatever you want. The black people go run up and down, walk up and down the street to these corner stores and buy chips, buy bags of chips, when they could buy everything in bulk right there at the distributor. And we just thought that was weird. You got somebody with a little corner store, and he got all the shit that you can get at the distributor for cheaper and in bulk. And it's like you going there getting little chips and sodas at your convenience. That's why it's called a convenience store. And you could just get the shit right there. Or how about you open up a store and then you sell chips and, in Chicago, we call them Zoom Zooms and Wham Whams. You go open up a store and you sell Zoom Zooms and Wham Whams. There you go, problem solved. But it's like, I'm not saying, Chicago people have their own problems. Black Chicagoans have their own problems. Their problems are not unique. Other black people in across the United States have this same problem, and the problem is, it's a thinking problem. It's a problem of thought. They have the wrong thinking, and the wrong skills, the wrong education. Black people need to be more business minded and education minded. Black people need more business education. And the high schools don't provide that. And the only way you can provide that is you provide that for yourself. You have to take it upon yourself to get business educated. Now, if you want some business education, you can reach out to me. And I can help you. I can give you what is needed for you to get started. Reach out to me, get a consultation. I will show you how to get started with whatever money that you have. Okay, I'll give you resources. I'll give you a simple system that you can get up and running with. Okay, so I am a resource if needed. Okay, so there's no excuses. And there are a lot of people that provide business consulting. They give you some type of blueprint so you can go out and start a business. It's a lot of people that do that. Women do that. Black women do that. A lot of people do that. So it's tons of resources out here. We are in the AI era. It is no reason we should be ass fucking backwards in 2026. Like in 2026, it should be You know, and that's why I don't respect none of these gang bangers. I have no respect for no gangs. I don't look up to this ghetto music, rap music bullshit, these gang bangers and all. Because at the end of the day, these gangs are basically punks, weak punks, because they allow these foreigners to come in their neighborhoods. I don't care, all of these gang bangers, all of them, they let foreigners basically own their corners, and then they allow them to sit in front of the corner or stand in front of the corner so they can sell a smack or whatever. But they allow all these foreigners, and this is across the whole country. They do the same shit. They don't bother none of these foreigners. They love the foreigners. They love the foreigners more than they love black people. They kill other black people, and they just rob the stores, and get caught or whatever. But they just basically, they should be the ones that, it shouldn't be no stores that's foreign owned or anything in the black community. You don't open up no store where they live. They don't. If you even tried to do that, you'll be out of business next year if you even make it that far. But they come in our communities, set up shop, and get rich off of our stupidity. And it's like, yeah, I don't respect none of these motherfuckers. I hate them, to be honest, because they don't say nothing about all these gangs. I don't give a fuck what they call, who name. They let these foreigners come in their own fucking neighborhood and set up shop and get rich. And it's like, they give them a fucking pass, but if you a black man, they gonna try to kill you. So you got a lot of black self-hate. You got a lot of black people, they hate other black people. They have a self-hatred complex. They hate black people. They hate black men. You got black men that don't like other black men. It's a lot of black hatred. So that's the issue as well. I mean, that issue can't be resolved with any education. It just, the only way to survive that is this, you have to, only other solution I have to that is, like some type of civil war, like Nigeria. They have problems, and they have civil wars, about different tribes. One tribe don't like each other, and the Christians don't like the Muslims and all of that type of shit. But and then they have, oh my God, Nigeria, oh my God, it has so many problems, and they have the same problems. It's really very similar problems that they have in America. Same thought process. Throwing out garbage, throwing garbage out on the street, not valuing your surroundings and where you live, not having pride in your house, in your housing, in your landscape, and it just, it's just a lot of these problems, man. It's just, they're not unique, and they come from a source, and you think that you're separate from that, but you're really not. The more you look into it, you see why you have the problems with you have. It comes from a particular place, and particular people that you think that you're separate from, but you're really not. No matter how you try to identify that you're separate, you're really not. And everybody else knows that you're not. They just make fun, and then they enjoy the benefits of you being this individual person. You're easily picked off. Is easily being you easily compete. It's easy to compete with someone that's an individual versus someone in a group. So the thing is that I just, I every now and again I get on my soapbox, and wherever the conversation leads me, it leads me. And this is just one of those nights, man, that I had to get on my soapbox, and I had to, I had to talk about, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I had to say this, again. Every time I do it, it's a little different. Have a different approach, but it's still the same message. And it's like, again, 2026. I mean, this is it's no other time. It's no next year. It's no nothing. This should be the time, like I say, that basically change a lot of things. It's not gonna stop. It's gonna continue. I don't want to hear nobody complaining about unemployment. I don't want to hear nobody complaining about crime unless you're talking about business. If you ain't talking about business, I don't want to hear shit about your fucking complaints. I don't want to hear shit about black fatigue or nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. Because the reason that black people have most of the issues that they have is because they don't know how to work this system. And to be honest, the origins of this system is your ass, your ancestors. Like the capitalism, what made capitalism, made Jews so wealthy, white people so wealthy, was basically slavery. That's what fueled capitalism. And that's why, and I understand why, a lot of black people are Marxists and stuff like that, because they understand that fact as well, right? Like, black people, the transatlantic slave trade fueled capitalism. It took capitalism to new plateaus. Okay. And the thing is that, black folks don't really understand this system, and they don't know how to compete with this system. And again, the only way they know how to compete with this system is work a job, make enough money, and move where the white folks are. And then the white folks, they leave the area, okay, which is white flight. And then, black people looking up, scratching their head, wondering why white people moving. And then, they look up, and then next thing you know, people getting shot, and, people walking around unemployed.
Really him. You're a victim.
Here we go, CSI.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.